back live for this February. I didn't write it down, so I think it's February 12th. Pretty certain. Yeah, I think it's February 12th. Appreciate everyone that's going to be tuning in today for the big show for February 12th, 2020 from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona, where the weather is absolutely outstanding. Don't want to, I have family that live in Idaho and whatnot. And I also have family in Newfoundland, and they got several feet. I mean, this has been bad. Yeah, aloha, mahalo. Yeah, someone, Steve in Hawaii. Yeah, maybe you're not getting any snow. I don't think they've ever gotten snow there, but glad to be with you here. Got a lot of stuff to get to. Let me give I forgot to put the number into the show notes. I do apologize for that. Wow. I haven't done the show in a week, so try to get this. It's 717-275-8941. That's 717-275-8941. And the passcode is 123-3428. So the passcode again is 12. If someone can copy that, put it into the chat, that would be really cool. So it's 123-3428 is the passcode. If you want, you can Skype me, instant message me on Skype at Frank Rizzo 3. And I will bring you up. I will call you once you instant message me. Don't just call directly to the show. And there we go. Rika, thank you very much for that. If you guys could just post that throughout the show, that would really help. I appreciate that. And okay. I've been gone. I was actually out in California. Everyone knows how I feel about California. I don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. I don't like it. Not that I dislike the people. It's just I just don't like There's parts of California that I do like. I do like Blue Jay and Arrowhead. That is great. But everything is just ruined by just how crowded it is, and it's legendary traffic. I remember last year, it took over 2 hours to go 5 miles. The fact that I have any hair left is a testament to. Anyway, someone saying Rika's never been to California. Well, it's got some nice aspects to it, but at least for someone like me who I detest crowds and I hate sitting in traffic, it just kind of takes away from any of the good parts of it. And that's a personal thing to me. Some people may not like crowds. May not dislike them like I do. Maybe some people don't give a damn. That a 20-mile trip is going to take you an hour and a half to 2 hours. Not for me. But man, there is a lot of stuff going on. I am expecting calls because we've got some people going to court this week. And speaking of court, I did get the video shot. I just have to do some editing. It's 4 success stories, 4, and 1 train wreck. I want to do that again. I have a little more time to discuss it here. I don't want to spend all the time doing that in a short video. And the documents are all there. I include the train wreck because I don't want anyone having any misconceptions about what's going on. It doesn't matter that there has been much success, documented success, just like these 4, over the span of many years. And my hair used to be black. That doesn't mean for a second that there aren't train wrecks. That doesn't mean that everybody gets it thrown out, that everybody who defends, whether they're working with me, they're doing it on their own, they go hire a lawyer. That doesn't mean that you're going to have success. You can have the best defense. It still falls flat. Doesn't matter. We know that prosecutorial misconduct, examples of prosecutorial misconduct are where someone like Stephen Myrie, who was a federal prosecutor, who multiple times he's been caught, not just lying directly to a federal judge, but withholding exculpatory evidence, meaning evidence that shows that you're innocent, that you're not guilty. We know that they have that. So these things happen. These are some of the details, some of the elements you have to be aware of. I do discuss in the video briefly that, look, there are men and women forcing the community to give them money, so they're criminal by nature. That doesn't mean that they're all raving lunatics or antisocial, psychopath types or sociopaths. But the organization is criminal in its nature, and government indicted. I go through all, well, not all, but I go through a lot of the psychological implications, why all the things we have happening that you can tie it to the fact that there is no accountability, which is what I'm going to talk about. How people could still believe that government's legitimate. After I don't remember who said it, Maya Angelou. I forget. I'm sorry if I can't think of it off the top of my head. Maybe it was Maya Angelou. Somebody tells you who they are, believe them. So getting back to the tickets, it doesn't matter what your defense is. It doesn't matter if the Supreme Court, look, cases are overturned at the Supreme Court all the time. So looks like we got another troll here. Hey, if somebody thinks that I suck, why are you watching the show? If there's a disagreement to the facts and the argument, call the show. 717-275-8941. The passcode is 1233428. So I shouldn't let that stuff derail me. Mark, you're from New York. You should be used to traffic. That's why I got out. So I was so surprised that we had so much traffic in Phoenix. Holy crap. I was tired of it raining, so I moved to Phoenix. It doesn't rain nearly as often. You see, I moved the hell out of there. I don't want to be used to it. Hey, this traffic sucks. Yeah, I know. 2 hours to go 50 miles on Long Island, depending on which way you're going. But when you're in Los Angeles, it doesn't matter which way you're going. North, south, east, west, it's all blocked up. All of it. So about the tickets, look, we need to know what the situation is better, have more context so that you can make a better informed decision. If you're going to stand up for yourself and you're going to defend against these code violations, then you need to know that it's not going to always work out. I've never made any, yes, people have replicated the success. We've gotten a lot of stuff tossed out. In fact, the last few years, we've gotten a lot of nolo prosequis where the prosecution is withdrawn. Because it's so easy to prove personal and subject matter jurisdiction. It's just so easy that these prosecutors, we have a pattern now of them, wherever it happens to be, New York, California, Washington, Canada, it doesn't matter. They're withdrawing the charge. They're withdrawing rather than give the discovery and actually prosecute. So they withdraw. But know that there are train wrecks. There's always those situations with like Dick Noble, and you've got prosecutors like Stephen Myrie who will deliberately withhold evidence, knowing that you are innocent or that the evidence tends to blow a hole in the prosecution's arguments, and they withhold it. So these are the things that go on regularly every single day in court. So no matter how tight your defense is, hey, Gitlet's first commissioner, his defense against the IRS was ironclad. He lost every step of the way. And if he didn't have the money and the patience to get reviewed by and luck to have the Supreme Court review it, all of his friends and family, business people, we knew your argument was terrible. No, it was rock solid. But you got a corrupt, servile Tax court. The IRS tends to win every single complaint that, and every time they're in court, they win almost 100% of the time. And it's not because they're such great lawyers, and it's not because they have such a great case. I have personally watched judges lie on behalf of U.S. attorneys. Watch them lie. In writing, too, mostly in writing. Federal judge in California, Northern District, lied through his teeth, said we presented no evidence, only conclusory statements. Didn't matter that we quoted the agent directly. Didn't matter that we had a CD of the phone call with the agent. Still lied. And these are the kind of train wrecks that are going to happen and keep happening till enough people start to realize that government is presently constituted, the fact that they're just men and women who are forcing us to pay them, that believe that they have a moral right to be immoral. As long as enough people accept that, they're just going to keep getting away with it. And I'll talk about it after some calls regarding that situation, why people continue. They just continue to see that government is somehow a legitimate organization, no matter how much crap they throw at you. It doesn't matter if someone like Alexander Acosta gives blanket immunity to unnamed co-conspirators, violates the sacred writ, federal law, didn't disclose the sweetheart deal that he made with Dershowitz and Kenneth Starr, didn't disclose it to the victims, violated federal law. Doesn't matter. Nothing happens to them. Nothing ever happens to them because they're politicians, and politicians stick together. Yeah, occasionally you find that they throw someone to the walls. Roger Stone is an example, but that's another example of. Well, I'll get into that. Let's get to the phones. Let's see what we've got here. I'm gonna unmute that. All right, we have area code 812. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, my name's David, and I'm calling from Indiana.
David, what can I do for you today?
Well, we've talked previously on a conference call, and I was just calling in to give you an update and ask a couple of questions.
We got good news?
I got news. I wouldn't say it's good news.
We'll take another call then. Okay. What do you got?
Well, I mailed in the discovery request and also the motion to dismiss. The prosecutor has responded to the discovery, but has not responded yet to the motion to dismiss.
Okay. So
on what's the discovery? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to ask for the details on was he responsive to all that you were asking for?
No. Let me pull up the. Let's see. Well, the primary things he's not addressing in the response to, he just put it in A, was that any and all evidence known to the complaining agent providing alleged defendant was present within the plaintiff state of Indiana. He put it in A. And the same thing for that I was within the city limits of Washington. He also put it in A.
Not applicable if there's evidence of that. I mean, you think he would just say, well, the police officer witnessed you on 5th and Central. Just the officer's testimony that you were physically here. I mean, that's something. I mean, kind of raises a question, like, why would you avoid just saying the police officer will testify to having just physically seeing you physically on 5th and Central? Why not say that? What? Why avoid answering that? Okay.
No, I totally agree with you. And then on the rest of it, if I want to examine, well, I'm sorry, I did get a DVD in the mail of the body cam footage, but any other information that I want to see, I have to set up a meeting with the prosecutor to review those items.
Okay. Well, and that may be the standard for Indiana. Something like Arizona, they just say you can just, here's the file. It's an open file thing. You just just make copies of what you want. So,
right.
Hey, if you have an opportunity to speak with the prosecutor and ask him questions, I take it. It'd be like an informal pretrial conference.
And actually, that leads right into my first line of questions, which would be, what questions should I be asking the prosecutor in that meeting?
All right. Well, the question should be, you have the motion to dismiss and the discovery request. So that's going to be your focus. I would say that my main focus would be the name of the witness that he's planning to call on, that the laws apply to me and I violated them. And then I would take it from there. I would, okay, so it's going to be Officer, Hauser. And so what, and then now you want to know, well, so does he have personal firsthand knowledge that the laws apply to me just because I'm physically in Indiana? And if he says yes, I would be asking, oh, well, what proof do you have that he has such personal knowledge that the Constitution applies to me just because I'm physically in Indiana? What do you plan to present?
Okay.
And then, of course, you have your facts that he plans to use to prove that element beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, what facts do you have that would prove that just because I'm physically in Indiana, this written instrument called the Constitution actually applies and creates obligations and gave the police officer jurisdiction?
Okay. And now, how would I go about using this in court against the claims the prosecutor are using in that meeting? Can I record that meeting, or can I ask, I guess, that it be recorded?
You can ask that you can record it. Yeah. If it's, I wouldn't, it depends on what you're trying to do. And if you understand and appreciate the risk, because if you are in a place where, like, Arizona is a one party recording, it's different when when you're in a government office, though. So I would say, unless you were an activist and you know and understand the implications if you're caught, then I would not try to record without telling them.
Okay, so I'll just be ready to take notes if I can't record that.
Yeah, you should be taking the notes anyway, because things are gonna, look. They know that you're not a professional litigator. So a stupid lawyer trick, and I'm not saying all of them do this, but a stupid lawyer trick is to talk very fast. You do the whole Ben Shapiro shtick. Well, imagine this, and if this happens, and if that, and you just, it's almost like a Gish Gala, but they talk very, so, and that's the confuse. So to confuse. So I always write things down, especially when I get a certain admission, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get certain statements or admissions out of them. I want to then be able to go back later and use that against them. And it's very good in that lawyers and bureaucrats in general, in my experience, tend to once they make an admission because they tend not to realize the implications of that until you start asking other questions, they will try to backpedal on what they said. And so when you call them out on it, they may turn around and say, well, you're taking me out of context. Oh, I didn't say that. I wrote it down. And so if you listen to Call of Shames, this is for you and everybody, you listen to Call of Shames, I get that all the time, which is why I even make it a point. So you're going to be there in person. I'm usually on the phone. I usually make it a point to tell them, well, just hold on a moment. I'm writing this down. So they know that I'm making a record of that. That's why they tend to get so upset when I call them on their BS later. I had a prosecutor say, after she told me, well, regarding personal and subject matter jurisdiction, we don't have to prove that, and the judge won't make me. And I said, really? So you're saying that? And I wrote it down. So you're saying that that the judge allows you to argue without evidence in his court? Really? And of course, she backpedaled on that and said, well, no, that's not what I said. You're twisting my words and taking them out of context. So then, well, I wrote it down, ma'am. What did you mean then when you said, I don't have to prove that and the judge won't make me? What did you mean by that?
Right. Okay.
That kind of leads
and,
me.
And since I'm at this process now, the motion in limine, close.
Yeah.
Well, I would file that 21 days after the discovery and the motion to dismiss, or would I wait for I guess, a court date for that?
Well, it depends on the timing. I would file them if the prosecution has not given me the evidence. Then I would file the motion in limine. So if I have proof and I've given them the opportunity, and I have proof that they are arguing without evidence, then I would file the motion in limine to keep them from making that argument. However, I think I would hold. If I was in your situation, I think I would hold back. If I had the opportunity to see the prosecutor in person and ask him these questions, then I would have his actual statements to use against him in the motion in limine and a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. So anytime I have the opportunity to use their statements against them, oh hell yes, I think that's I think that's a good way to go. And I keep bringing up Tiffany Castillo. We were able to ram her words right down her throat. She was very I do not need evidence to prove that. I do not need to prove that. Once her words were read back in court, she changed her tune. So they may like to say, I don't have to prove that. But boy, if they're not in front of a judge that they're real cozy with, they change their tune. And that's exactly what someone like Tiffany Castillo did. She said, no. The evidence is absolutely in the complaint. Where? Point it out. Of course, she couldn't. So,
obviously, yeah. And I'm trying to get myself prepared for trial if that happens. And I just recently got your book, Government Indicted, and I was curious which part of that book would be the most beneficial for me to study for prep for court.
Well, I know I got this from I think Home Bumming it mentioned this earlier. Like, I'm on page 190 and there's nothing about court yet. The second half of the book is all about court procedure and has the model that I've used and others have used and has proven to be very effective and successful. The first part of it is going into the background. That's the indictment. I mean, I think it's exhaustive. I mean, the book is like, it's a big book. I go through the foundation of indicting the concept of government, and that's important to know why we're asking the questions that we are. Why am I asking for evidence of the foundational claim? It would be silly to try to defend myself by asking something and having a part of my defense asking the prosecutor to questions regarding proof that they actually have, right? I mean, right. It's kind of defense 101, especially in cross-examination. You don't ask them questions that's going to bolster the prosecution's case. It's like you don't get them, you don't have them repeat things from the direct examination that helps the prosecution. So that's why I went into such detail so that people could be confident and know. I'm not saying to not ask those questions outside of court to prep. Go to a city council and see what kind of responses that you're going to get so that you can it helps you better prep for court. But that background is necessary so you understand why I'm asking the questions. So that's the logical basis for making the challenge to their foundational claims.
Okay. Yeah, and I've been enjoying the book so far. I just got it. I just started it, but I didn't know if there were certain parts that I should spend more time studying than others.
Right. Part 2.
Part 2. Okay. And what the last question I would have is, in my situation, it's for a DUI. I'm fighting a DUI stop. The most common things the prosecutor might say in court to try to throw me off.
Well, sorry to hear it's a DUI. I have to tell you that we've had one acquittal in a DUI. I know. I remember only one. It was here in Arizona, and And Rebecca did that, and I believe it was her defense was pretty damn good. She was able to get the prosecutor to declare the witness incompetent to make legal determinations on legal claims. Did it right there. I mean, in front of the jury. And so she was able to say, so if you or someone else gets something like that, when you're asking for the facts, their legal determination was based on their legal claim, their allegation at the stop, and then on the ticket and then in the direct examination. And the prosecution says the objection calls for a legal conclusion. The witness is incompetent to testify. That's pretty strong. One, it's not an on-point objection, because you didn't ask for a legal conclusion. But two, what she was able to capitalize on, which is why it's so powerful, is right in front of the jury, you're able to make and restate what the judge and prosecutor just did. If you're saying that he's not qualified to make such legal determinations against me, then his determination of probable cause has to be stricken. Because a determination of probable cause is not a statement of fact. It's a legal determination. He has taken facts and he's applying the law to it and saying that there's probable cause that the law was violated. That's a legal determination. And the judge, he sustains the objection. But the DUIs are really, really tough, because one of the things I think the judge, he's probably going to throw at you is he's going to tug on your heartstrings. He says, hey, sir, you know you did wrong, and you're just trying to find some kind of loophole. We have the goods on you. We know that you were under the influence. You put people's lives in danger so they could do something like that. And he'll do that right in front of the jury. That's why most of these end up where once you get some leverage on the prosecutor and they don't have the evidence to support their foundational claims, then you can get a deal that doesn't involve, a deal that you can live with. That's why most of these DUI charges wind up where it gets pled down and someone gets a real good deal.
Right, because as of right now, the last time I went in, I was supposed to sign a plea deal, and I had a lawyer at the time. He contacted me, told me the prosecutor's deal. We went into the courthouse to sign the deal, and the paperwork he gave me was, not what the deal was. And I pointed that out. He said, oh, yeah, that's just, we'll get that changed, no big deal. And he comes back, and the deal's still not the deal that I was told previously. And so I used that opportunity to ask if my lawyer could go get the personal and subject matter jurisdiction from the prosecutor. He said he would. Went in, talked to the prosecutor, came back out, and then he showed me an article of a sovereign citizen who my lawyer said they make the same arguments you do. But this guy jurisdiction was found over him. I asked about the details of the case, and the guy had murdered somebody. And it's like, well, that's not even close to what we're talking about. Did you get the personal subject matter jurisdiction? And he said, no, I didn't get it. And then that's when I found out that time the law firm I had hired, apparently they're closed now. They've shut down their offices. So, at that time I found out I didn't have a lawyer, and court was supposed to be, I think, 14 days after that meeting. So.
Well, what I would say is most likely what I would do in that situation, like I said before, I would be looking at making a deal. People have made really good deals that are reported on the show, at least as good a deal on their own without mortgaging their house to pay for a law firm to help. I would say that is most likely the best outcome for this. But see how speaking with the prosecutor goes, and how some pretrial motions go. And if you get some really good admissions from the prosecutor, that might be enough to push them in the direction of a pretty good deal.
Okay. I appreciate the help.
Yeah, let me know what happens. Let me know that, if you got an appointment set, if when you're going in. So keep me in the loop. I'd like to know what happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I'll keep you in contact through email.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate the call, David in Indiana. Good luck.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. Yeah, I hope that buzzing. I hope the buzzing was just in my ear. I hope that wasn't something. So you guys let me know when I had David on, if there was a buzzing or it's just my equipment. So hopefully that didn't go out over the on the stream. It's easy enough to clean it up on the podcast, but on here I'd have to like I used to do. I used to edit and upload the video, and it's a lot easier now just to keep the live stream. I like a comment somebody said here that if we're being prosecuted, just tell the judge that we've investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing. So I think that that is wow, that is pretty cool. And Stuart, you asked something that one of the stories I was telling relating to Dave in Indiana led into actually the question, answering the question that you posed. And I believe it was, what do you do when they say, put your question in writing? Now, to go back to that prosecutor, and this is on the website, by the way, it's a call of shame from about 4 or 5 years ago. It's a good one. It's good. Pretty good. The prosecutor was insisting that first, they didn't have to have evidence, and the judge would allow them to get away with not proving that. When I confronted her on that, because obviously, if they say something like that, what I like to say is, so the judge look, your relationship with this judge is so tight that he allows you to argue without evidence. That's a big leading question. That's a really good one, because they're gonna get super defensive, and they're probably gonna realize, oh gosh, what am I saying? So when I pressed her for the evidence again, now mind you, we already had a discovery request that was the prosecutor. They already had this in writing, and yes, even in Canada, in a criminal prosecution, they have to give what's called in the United States Brady material. They have to get, and same thing in Australia and England. They have to give you exculpatory evidence, which means any information tends to show that you're innocent, and any information that can be used to impeach the prosecution's witnesses. They have to give that to you. This was already done. They already had it. We were just calling because they hadn't responded. And after making what I believe was a fool of herself, she decides that that's not enough. I have not even begun to defile myself to you, Mark Stevens. She takes out the old prosecutor or bureaucrats, stand. I even have the last time I spoke about this in detail, the thumbnail, I have to use that again. Rob Ford, whoa, put your question in writing. I can ignore that later. Because what they are saying to you, again, we're asking for evidence that has already been put in writing. It's called a formal discovery request. And she says, put your questions in writing. So what I say now, because look, I firmly believe that anytime a politician or bureaucrat, any government agent says to you, put your question in writing, what they are saying is, Abba Fongul, I am not going to answer that question. I don't have any recent memory where they actually followed through on this. One of the more recent ones was we got Mike in Northern California, and we have I've got a friend here in the Valley, and we're dealing with the Navajo County here in Arizona. We'll put in writing. That's again, about fungal. They are not going to answer you. So knowing in advance what they're doing is avoiding the question. They have no intention of answering the question. So let's get that right out right now. No intention of answering the question. They will not answer you. You hear that on regular mainstream broadcasts. I listen to NPR in the car. And it's a standard line. Put your question in writing. They're not going to answer it. You got them on the phone. You're doing an interview. You're questioning them. Yeah. So this is a roundabout. I'm a long-winded way to get to the point of what the question was. Stu, what do you say? What I say in that case: do you promise? Are you giving me your word in good faith? You're going to be responsive to the questions. Now, this agent, being a lawyer and getting a straight answer from a lawyer is that you're not paying is extremely difficult. Again, I still have most of my hair, so it's a testament to, patience or just knowing what kind of people you're dealing with over here. She says, I will respond. See, this is a lawyer trying to wordsmith over here. See, when I ask, will you be responsive? That's a leading question. The only appropriate answers are yes or no. That's it. It doesn't require any kind of discourse. It doesn't require an explanation. Yes or no, will you be responsive? So I asked the question again. You didn't answer the question. Will you be responsive? I will respond. Now, mind you, the prosecutor is already under a legal obligation to be responsive. She wasn't. So that's how I would. That's how I respond to that. I will tell them point blank. Can you at least treat me as an adult and tell me point blank the truth? You have no intention of answering the question. That's another way to confront them, because you are not going to get an answer to that question. But remember, you've now got proof of bad faith. They're not only not answering the question, but they told you to put it in writing, knowing. So they've lied. That is a false statement. So that's how I respond to that. Call them on it. As I get older, I'm even more of a skeptic. That's why there are certain websites I just don't go to anymore. Too damn conspiratorial when they're doing things right in front of you. Where is the conspiracy theory necessary? And I'm not saying conspiracy theory is automatically wrong. I'm not. Unless it's from a U.S. attorney, then it's presumptively incorrect, presumptively false. But like I titled the name of the show here today. Hey, Mark, what do you think about these First Amendment audit guys? They get 100 times the views that my channel gets. So, yeah, that's I there are some people have sent me. People have been on the show. I can't get more than 2 minutes into it because it's so damn boring. But my gosh, do they generate a lot of hits? So I don't know if anything has ever come of it. Body cams have never done. Look, Slager was shot killing a guy. It was all on video, planting evidence on video. He got away. He got away with it initially at the state level. I personally would like to see the First Amendment audit guys going to city council meetings with their camera. The police, look, the police are not going to change. They're not. If you don't get the policy changed, the police are going to continue doing what they're doing. Until you get prosecutors, until you change the policy and you get prosecutors that will actually prosecute these cops, they will not stop. They are just a symptom of the problem. which gets to why do people in this day and age with the internet, with as much information that is available, how anybody could possibly believe that the government, especially the federal government, is a legitimate, non-criminal organization that is ethical in any way. It's right in your face. Mitch McConnell, he can go on national television. I have no intention of being fair. He said it right on national television. Lindsey Graham said it multiple times, double down, triple down. He has no, he's laughing at you. He's laughing at us. He said, I have no intention of being fair. And that they still took an oath because the oath means nothing. The oath meant nothing when they took it in the sham impeachment trial, which it wasn't a trial. It meant nothing when they take the oath to be a senator. It means nothing. Why? Because they are just men and women that are forcing us to give them money. There is no accountability 99% of the time. They're going to get away with it. Here you've got impeach President Trump right in your face with the emoluments violations. He's got his son-in-law, and his daughter who have no government experience at all, doing very high-level government stuff. No experience. Right in your face nepotism. He gets away with it. Right after the sham acquittal, he goes and he violates federal law again. He retaliates against witnesses. Because the laws don't mean a damn thing to politicians. Most of the time, they get away with it. He's retaliating against witnesses. Nothing's going to be done. Nothing. And people go, well, what about Obama? I swear, the next person who says, when you point out the current administration's crimes and says, what about Obama? I'm going to say, what about the Trail of Tears? What about the Trail of Tears? Andrew Jackson, American Hitler. What about that? It's like, it doesn't matter. Ethics, maybe that's the answer. What it comes down to is ethics don't mean a damn thing. Morals don't mean anything. As long as you are sticking it to the libtards, do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It is startling to me how anybody could see any, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or anybody, it does of any stripe, could look at what's going on and yeah, that's yeah. I had someone actually say, when you hit point blank that of the crimes that impeach President Trump has done, and just, well, you know what, they're all corrupt. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna back the guy who's got America first. That's what yeah. But you got to own the libtards. I had news for you, Raymond. They're all criminals. But not everyone, like I said, is a stark raving mad lunatic. There are true believers in there. There are some government employees that try to do the right thing and they think that they're doing the right thing. But now the gloves are off. That was one of the questions JT always had. Are things getting progressively worse? Or is it just more of it's coming out because everyone has a cell phone? Everyone has a YouTube channel. Everybody has a blog. I think what we're seeing here is a tipping point where so many people still believe that the institution itself is legitimate that they can throw the gloves off. They don't have to make excuses. They can do whatever they want. My gosh, impeach President Trump said Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. And the fact that he's not held to any kind of account, there's no repercussions whatsoever. He's going to keep doing it. Because they are just a criminal organization. After everything is stripped out of it, you've got men and women forcing the community to give them money. And that is always going to be immoral. Always going to be unethical. It's so easy. If you just stop cheering for the guy owning the libtards, if you could just strip out all the bias, if possible. Well, Paul's saying, I think both getting worse, but it's getting more exposure. They really don't care, though. Yeah, they don't have to care. They don't have the luxury of having to care because they have the money and they've got the power. And as long as enough of us allow them to continue forcing the community to give the money, they're going to keep getting away with more and more and more and more. You can have the impeached president on national television openly saying he would welcome interference in the elections from a foreign government, openly admitting to committing a felony. It doesn't matter. See, the sacrificial lamb is in prison, Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort. So there were some sacrificial lambs that went there. You know, the coffee boys, the covfefe boys, you know, the ones he barely knew. But the ones who hold the power rarely are ever held accountable. Very, very rarely. Because as I said, there are two sets of books. And it's not just the United States. It's all over. Two sets of books. You got the laws for the plebes, the little people. And then when you have enough wealth, you have enough power, you're high enough in the government, you could do literally whatever you want. You can cut up a journalist while he's alive. Not a damn thing happens. You can have literal concentration camps, like China, where they're doing organ harvesting on live people, political dissidents, okay, like political prisoners, removing kidneys while people are alive. And they can get away with it. Why? Well, because China is such a big trading partner, or Saudi Arabia is such a big trading. The impeached President Trump admitted the reason why there was nothing done, no account whatsoever for Khashoggi and all the other horrors that MBS has committed and the rest of his so-called government. It's because they give us so much money. So they're going to continue believing or acting as if they believe that they have that those co-government have a moral right to be immoral. Mark, we need to stop. Work to make your circle and help the circle that surround your circle, and it'll all work out. No ruling class, just people. I got to tell you that I am not a I am not one of these guys who, and I know there's self-proclaimed anarchists that teach this, that if you just ignore them, they'll go away. They'll go away. Yeah, they just go away. So the idea too is, well, if enough people just ignore them, I don't see that happening. How's that? So to borrow a phrase, how's that working out for you? Were people with Jews and gypsies and homosexuals in Germany in the 1930s? Just ignore them. If enough of us just ignore them, it'll go away. It'll go away. If enough people in China just ignore the Chinese government, no, they use overwhelming violence to get people into compliance. So I'm not one of these. I go by the evidence. I have to see the evidence, and I don't see any evidence that we could, even if it was possible. Does anyone really think for a second you're going to get enough people to ignore the laws so that government can't operate anymore? I look how long it's taken just to get any kind of social change where you get people behind gay marriage. How long it took to break the notion of segregation. And that's where government kept their power. Unfortunately, there may be a situation. There's a lot of different fires in the irons in the fire, but if they were more active and look, I've spoken about this before. If there was something going on in New Hampshire where you could look and see that the Free State Project, the participants are actually making a difference. Yeah, there's a few places where you can smoke pot openly. There's a lot of places you can do that, I'm sure, but real social change where you're doing something to get at the root to stop the violent compulsory support. Is there any headway being made there? Anyway, I'm going to wrap up here. I don't want to be too. I think I want to see some social change in my lifetime, and I don't think I've seen it. I've been at this a long time, and I don't think I've seen any meaningful social change. Towards making government less violent. So, but I would like to see, because they get so many damn hits. I mean, if you can get videos with 100,000 views or more of people going, the First Amendment audit guys, they can go in and confront them on their foundational claim of jurisdiction, confront them on the moral implications of what they're doing. If more people could see that, people are tired. I know you just get fed up. You're so tired of these people committing such heinous crimes, doing whatever the hell they want, destroying people's lives. And nothing is done. Nothing is done. Trump, even if he's not reelected, he's not going to get indicted. And if he is indicted, he'll be, they'll pardon him. Just like that piece of garbage, Joe Arpaio. And I can speak from personal experience. I was sexually assaulted by one of his deputies. Pardoned. Because that's what the rich and powerful do. Different set of rules. We have to stop accepting this notion that they have a moral right to be immoral. That the same principles of morality that apply to me and you apply to them too. Then maybe things will start to change. So, if you know some of these guys that can get their cameras and go to a city council meeting, great. I'm even happy to send them the questions in writing. I'll put the questions in writing. Whether they'll get answered or not is another story. But I'm willing to do that. So if you guys know any of these First Amendment auditors that would like to do something like that, then definitely hit me up. My name is Marc Stevens. It's been the February 12th edition of the No State Project here on my YouTube channel. Why do people still believe the government's a legitimate organization? I don't get it. But if you have ideas for that go beyond or something I didn't touch on, definitely leave them in the comments. And if you disagree with something I said on the show, you're more than welcome to call into a live broadcast and set me straight. And look for the new video. I can't get it done today, but I will have it edited and uploaded tomorrow. Four tickets tossed out. So definitely check that out here on my YouTube channel. And I will be back, of course, live Saturday. So whoever was not able to get through today will be live on Saturday. So till then, salud.